We today would like to combine three major subjects into one, and that is geopolitics, global economic environment, and impact of Ukraine conflict, which goes much beyond Ukraine or Russia and spreads around elsewhere. So these three things, let's call it the global economic scenario in the present context, and the present context will be something like beginning of 2023. There is one way of looking at these things, which is the statistics. A lot of organizations give it, but IMF statistics are quite reliable. They, in fact, take it from the governments. And they will show that even year 2022, which was expected to be better after the 2020 of the COVID, when the economies generally went down, has not been very good. IMF has used the terminology that India is one bright spot in a generally desolate scenario. Some others, of course, doubt it, and IMF projects for 22-23 about 7% growth, down from 7.4% earlier specified. Quarter 3, that is October, December, in India has not been very good. It is 4.4%, but just 0.2% less than what was projected, 4.6. But there has been criticism of that coming from one of them, Professor Ragurajan, former RBI governor and professor at Chicago, and others. And we have attached those things to the learning objects which we have for this program. This program is basically of 1 hour for the instructor and 15 minutes for the questions and answers. It is a bit flexible, it can be increased. It is divided broadly into two sections. One is the global economic scenario, and the second one is on the terms which are related in foreign trade, the associations which are there, like the BRICS and the ASEAN, SEO, and the free trade agreements. And we can pick up one or two as case studies to discuss how they have been devised. India, country by country, does this. The days of WTO and standard tariffs across the countries are gone. So we will study that a bit, given that this time is kind of limited for taking such a broad scenario. Now, as far as the economic scenario is concerned, we have consulted very large number of publications of World Bank, IMF, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, that is European Union, and also coming from other countries like China and all that, translated, especially from Singapore, National University of Singapore, Professor Mehbubani, the former head of their foreign service, writes very well. So his book has China 1. Mr. Kevin Rudd, who is currently the president of the Asiatic Society, who is formerly the Prime Minister of Australia, writes very well, telling about the things which happen in China and ASEAN region. We in India also have now a branch of the Asia Society, but very little study is there of China, Eurasia, and other things. Many of these countries are dark spots for us. Now, if we look at broadly the economic output, measured generally as GDP at nominal prices or increasingly triple P, that is the purchase price. We have given dynamic graphics with it attached to this particular lecture, where over a large period of time, including one graphic which is there from 1 AD going up to 2050, as to how the ranking has been changing and how the GDP has been changing and so on and so forth. Here we just briefly mention that till about 1750, till the Plassey War, Robert Clive winning over the Nawab, India was the number one in the world as far as the gross domestic product was concerned, and China was number two. And then European countries were not even formed the way they are today, but all of them put together would have had the GDP compared to these two countries. In between, as the colonialism came, 200 years of colonial exploitation meant that a lot of the financial resources, material resources, metals, coal, cotton, it went out, and it enriched the mills of UK and Europe. And then later on, USA also became a quasi-colonialist by having colonies like Philippines, and then practically the backyard, as they call it, Western Hemisphere, Latin America, was meant for their exploitation of the resources. It is only after 1950, when China becomes independent, or the Communist Party takes over, and India becomes a republic, that things start changing, and a number of African countries over a period of time also start becoming independent. Now, this has to be seen in the context. Why today both the geopolitical environment as well as the economic environment is going through a change. When these African countries, even Latin American countries, wanted to throw the yoke of the former colonialists, who went and helped them? Morally, militarily, economically, supplying oil? Russia mainly. So today the votes in the UN and so on are kind of pro-Russia, because Russia is considered as a benefactor. Now, coming back to the economics, China since 2000, when India and China had per capita income approximately equal, started getting into the higher range, even double-digit growth rate. So by 2010-11, China had taken over a lot of other countries, and if you take triple P conversion of the GDP, 2014, they had become number one already. Currently, they are along with the US in nominal GDP. Now, just to get the figures right, China has about $17.5 trillion as the GDP, nominal, and USA has $21 trillion. So approximately similar. And if we broadly take the global economy at $100 trillion, then India has about 3.5, and Australia has 1.7, and Russia has got 1.5, and the others are far below. So on the top are China, USA, Japan, India, Germany, UK, all close by, and their ranking will keep on changing, and so on. But let's remember one thing: our GDP becoming of this size and slightly exceeding that of UK is not a great matter of celebration, because our population is far more. If you take per capita income, we are way behind. These are converted into dollars, they are misleading. Again, if triple P is applied, then it is better. But nonetheless, it gives a size of the economy and therefore some clout. What is more and is not generally discussed, that it is the saving rate which matters. Saving rate in China has been very high, close to 40%. When saving rate, that means 100 rupees is what the contribution of the population is, and 40% is saved, which means that capital is available for applying various places. So today, who has got the largest amount of available capital? Till few years ago, it was Japan. and they had invested about $1 trillion in the bonds of treasury bonds of USA. Similarly, China has more than $1 trillion bonds. Russia has 350 trillion bonds, which we will, sorry, $350 billion bonds, to which we will come to that they have been now frozen, and so Russia can't use it. So this gives an idea. On the other hand, US economy is very, very highly indebted. The government debt has crossed $30 trillion, while their economy is of the size of 20, let us say. So it is one of the highest debt to GDP ratios in the world. Now let's come closer. What are the driving forces of an economy? Today we can say that it is the population, it is the working population, it is the technology, it is the skills of people. The agriculture part of the economy is not growing very well, or its productivity is not growing very well. Last year, or rather last 3 years if you take, Europe has hardly grown. Inflation is high. It is actually looking like a developing country. But the counterpoint there is that their base is high.